Hey guys, Kevin, another movie for you guys, and this movie we're reviewing, I don't think a lot of you have probably heard of this movie. I talked about it on my April movie preview if you guys didn't see that, but I did talk about this movie on there, and I knew this movie was coming out today, and I finally got a chance to see it, and that movie is The Invitation. And like I said, probably a lot of you haven't heard of it. You can probably check it out though on like on demand and VOD, and you can also, of course, torrent it if you wanted to, but it's a very small movie. I'm sure a lot of you, might not hear of it or even have any desire to check it out, but it was a movie that I was very interested in just from the plot, and finally got to check it out. And overall, after watching The Invitation, what did I think of it? I, for the most part, loved The Invitation. Not only was it very thrilling and shocking, but also a very good character study that I definitely really appreciated. But let's just get into The Invitation. Basically, let's get to the plot. The plot of The Invitation is pretty simple. The plot basically, we focus on these two people, Will and Kiera. They're going to this dinner party that Will's ex-wife Eden and her husband David is throwing, and basically, when they get to this dinner party, all things just seem a bit out of control. Some things just aren't right, and Will starts to think that Eden and David have invited them all over there for a much more evil intent than everyone thinks, and that basically is the plot of The Invitation. So overall, that plot just really intrigued me. I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen in this movie just from that plot in general. It sounded very interesting. But let's get more into The Imitation. Focus on the acting first, because the acting really is great in this movie. First of all, without a doubt, Logan Marshall Green is amazing as Will. He just had this part down really, really well. You really, his character, you really care about his character. You definitely saw his character, and you kind of see why he thinks things are just a little bit off, and he's going through a lot in his life, and I definitely really did appreciate that. By the way, guys, I forgot to say, because this movie isn't as well known, and because a lot of you haven't seen it, I'm not going to go into spoilers. If you guys want to talk to me about spoilers, private message me on like Twitter or YouTube or something, and then I will talk about the movie there, because what I think the movie's actually about, I can't actually tell you. But what I love about Will as a character, and I think the best thing that Logan Marshall Green did, is the idea of madness. And basically, we know that Will can tell that there's just something off. Everyone's acting really weird. People are acting too much, or there's just weird things going on. And the thing is about this character, though, is that while we can understand, we also don't really know if he's actually, if he's actually sincere, that maybe there is, in fact, something bad happening, or if he's just a little bit off and he's just hallucinating about things. I mean, there are a lot of things in this movie where you don't know if it's real and if it's not, and that really was a great way to really showcase this character's, mental state, because this character, while it seems like the only normal one there, is far from normal, and you definitely see that. I thought he did a very good job in this role. He really portrayed it perfectly, and definitely definitely one of the best performances of the movie. Tammy Blanchard is Eden. I really loved her character. Her and Will have a lot of reasons for breaking up. You know why things didn't end up well between them. Again, I'm not going to tell you why they aren't together. There's a big reason why. But these two, I mean, I really thought she was a great character, because she's just going a little too far. You can just tell that there's something not right about her, and you don't really know what it is, but just something's not right. She is very aggressive randomly, or she's playing these games that reveal a lot. And at first it's regular party games, but then she's showing these videos that are just graphic as hell, and you shouldn't see them at all at a party like this, and you have no idea what her agenda is, and that's something I loved about her character. We don't know any more that Will knows, and I thought that she was really great. She definitely did a very good job, as did Michael Huisman as David. I thought he was very good as well. Definitely, you can tell that there's definitely something going on between these two. Emayatzy, Corinealdi, I thought was good as Kiera. I thought pretty much everyone was really good, but definitely one of the standouts was John Carroll Lynch, because out of all the characters, you can just tell that this guy there's something not wrong with him. You know that he has some sort of sinister intent, definitely. I mean, Will thinks that, and you know that he probably is that way as well. He has this great scene where he talks about something that happened to his wife, and it's a really, really crazy scene. It really shows how great John Carroll Lynch is at playing those kind of like just something off about them characters, that has something wrong in their head, and he does a great job with that here. He really is an awesome actor when it comes to that stuff, and really he gives a really chilling performance. And I also thought the whole ensemble was very good. You definitely really do get into all these characters, and the movie is very focused on the characters. Like, you can definitely tell this is a very character-centric movie. We find a lot of information. It's one of those movies where there's a lot going on with them, and I definitely really did appreciate that. The directing here I thought was very well done. The tone of the movie is very lax. Like, it always feels like something is about to happen. As the movie goes on, the tension is building and building, but it does feel like you're at a party, and that's something I thought was really great. The movie's not necessarily focused on suspense, as it is getting to know these characters, and the more we find out about them, the more we realize that something is just not right here, and the way all these characters know each other is very interesting. The secrets that they get revealed. I mean, the directing was just very well done. I definitely really appreciate it. The tone was fantastic. And like I said, it's a dark tone, but it really does feel like you're at this dinner party with them. And it was just so well realized the way they did that. And I really love that. The writing to this movie, by far one of the best screenplays I have heard so far this year. The screenplay is just so great. Like I said, the movie's so focused on character. And it's very much like The Hateful Eight, where the first half we're finding out all these different things about the characters and things that their backgrounds, their past, things like that. And I will admit the first half of this movie wasn't the most interesting. In fact, I did drift out a little bit just because the first half is just getting to know people and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what a party's like. You go to a party, you talk to people you don't know, you discover things about them. That's what a party really is. And it really did feel like you were at that party, and I really love that. But as the movie went on, it just gets more and more crazy, and I love the way the movie focused on tension. It never does too much. It always seems to build and build, but it never feels like it's doing too much. It feels like when more tension is happening, it's exactly at the right time, and that's something I thought was very well done. And I've seen so many thrillers nowadays where they just try to do stuff immediately, and this movie is really focused on creating a narrative that is scary, one that is shocking, and one that really leaves an impact on the viewer, and that's exactly what this did for me. It left a big impact on me. Definitely, I really appreciate the writing. One of the best things about the movie by far. Definitely really love the writing, especially this one scene where they all start to play this game. That is when the movie really got crazy. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. They play this game called, I think it's like Never I. I mean, that scene was crazy, and then the climax of this movie is not only shocking and very well worth it because we've been waiting for this all along, but it is downright terrifying at points. I mean, just imagining going to this party, what ends up happening in this movie, it really is crazy. I mean, think of any party you've been to, nothing is compared to what happens at the end of this movie. It's not Project X, but it's pretty scary, and I really love that. And like I said, I think something else the movie really does very well is getting to know all the losses in these characters' lives, because a lot of what's going on in this party affects that, and it's a movie you really need to listen to intently, and I really appreciate that. The cinematography here is just great, but the way the camera moves, like I said, it always feels like something's off. Like, this party is not really a regular party. There's something off about it. The way it's like, most of the movie, we are confined in this house, and you want to get out of there. You really do. I mean, the only other place the characters go is outside of the house, and you just want to get out of this house because you know that something is going on, but you also want to kind of listen to all this drama, because when you're at a party, there's two kinds of people. You either want to get out, but then you also want to listen into this crazy drama that's going on. I mean, I've been at plenty of parties where there's been crazy stuff going on. I'm not involved with it, but I still want to hear about it, and I want to know what's going on just because it's interesting, and that's exactly what this movie does. It is a movie where you might want to turn it off or pause it or something, just because it's a movie that's very confined in this one space, and I really appreciate the way they did that. It's not necessarily claustrophobic, it's more of just tension. It's more just you feel uneasy, and you're getting a lot of anxiety in this one house, and you just want to leave because you just feel out of place. Just like Will feels out of place. You can tell that Will is one of the only characters that's not in the know about a lot of things. A lot of the things that come out, a lot of the characters already knew, but Will didn't, and he really is confused as to why this is going on, and I definitely really appreciate that. And especially towards the end, the cinematography was just crazy here, but it never was like horror cinematography, and a lot of people think that this movie might be a horror movie. It's not really a horror movie. I'd say it's more of a psychological thriller that's just has horror elements to it, and that's something I thought was very well done. And also the opaque views, in that there are some very opaque scenes in this movie. If you don't know what opaque means, it's kind of like vivid and not really there, and that really represented Will's mental state very well, because like I said, there are many times in this movie where we don't know if this is actually happening or if he's just picturing this and he's kind of going a little crazy, which, based on the circumstance he's going through in this movie, isn't necessarily hard to believe that he's going crazy, which again, I'm not going to give away. I will tell you guys, the last 20 minutes of this movie is absolutely nuts, though, and you're not prepared for it, and just know, when you see this movie, that the last 20 minutes are just nuts. I mean, I'm talking nuts. I was nail-gripping, nail-biting, definitely. I definitely really appreciate that. The score to this movie is just perfect. I love the score, because it starts off very sinister, but then kind of gets relaxing a little bit, and then gets very sinister again, and then gets relaxing, and that's kind of how you feel at this party. Like, it feels like, all right, things aren't bad. Oh, no, they are. No, they aren't bad. Oh, no, they are. You just go back and forth because you don't know if this party is really bad or not, or if what's going on is actually true. And sometimes the characters are joking about things, but you don't know, are they actually serious? Is that what's actually going on? And the way they did that, I just thought was perfect. I love the way that was done. It was so well realized, and the score, without a doubt, is one of my favorites. I got the score on my phone. Just a great score overall. The way, especially in the very beginning and the end, the score was just so good. I loved it. Definitely really great. The ending to this movie, I will admit, is a little bit slow, but when you really think about it, parties are slow. They're not always crazy. I mean, parties usually start very slow because, people are starting to come in, and then they get crazier and crazier as they go on. That's exactly how the editing was. But the editing always stayed slow. It always stayed slow-paced. It always stayed like it was just in the party, and that's something I really loved. You never feel like you're not in the party. You always feel like you're part of this party, or you're like Will, where you feel like you're not part of it, and you're kind of out of it, and you don't really know what's going on, and that's something I thought was very well done. The editing, I will say, was a little bit slow at times. The first half, I wasn't as into it. Definitely the second half is when I really started getting into it, and especially once we start the games and all the crazy mayhem at the party starts, that's really when I started to get into the movie, because that's when characters start accusing each other, that's when characters start wondering things, and that's when the characters start to realize that they might want to actually leave this party, and they can't really leave, and that's something I really appreciated. But overall, guys, I would definitely recommend you check out this movie. It is very slow. I will say that. It's slow, but it's not boring. It wasn't ever boring. It was just kind of slow. Like, all right, these characters kind of having a conversation. I'm kind of drifting out a little bit. You know how it is with the movies like that. I mean, there are times where I've drifted out of movies. Nothing wrong with that. This is still a very well done thriller. It's a thriller that I feel is a very good example of how to craft a thriller like this of its kind. And I'd love to see more thrillers done this way. And because that, I'm giving The Invitation a 4.5 out of 5 or an A. By far one of the best movies I've seen so far this year. It's probably not going to be on my top 10, but I definitely would recommend you check it out. I definitely can't wait to check it out again. And like I said, I really do want to get into the deeper messages of this film, but I really can't because I just don't want to spoil it. I want you guys to know in not really knowing anything except what I've told you. And yeah, so if you guys want to know, like I said, the deeper meanings, just private message me, then we'll talk about it, and we'll just have a conversation about it. But over, guys, to my review, The Invitation. Let me know what you guys saw this movie. You have seen it. What did you think of the ending? What do you think the movie's really about? Because what I think the movie's really about, like I said, I can't really talk about. But I will see you guys in my next video, which, yes, it will be for the original. It will actually, no, it will be for a movie review, but I will be doing the originals review tonight. Don't worry. I know you guys are looking forward to that, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.